I have a little bit of a problem. See, I'm the kind of guy that likes to just charge into a fight, Leroy Jenkins style, and oftentimes that gets me killed. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to make a character that can literally just swan dive into a fight and just bash everything. Just run in and just start beating the tar out of everything in front of me and come out smelling like roses. And I thought, what kind of character does that? Like, what kind of character is really good at that? And that's when I realized I want to build the Incredible Hulk in Fallout. All right, so this character is at once pretty straightforward, but it's also kind of complicated. So let's start off by talking about equipment. Now, first off, this outfit that I'm wearing here is tailor-made for this build, right? Let's take a look at it. So for starters, it gives us a bonus to endurance. And we want as much endurance as we can get on this build. We want a beefcake. We want just a mountain of hit points. We want this thing to be an absolute slab. So anything that gives us endurance is always welcome. But on top of that, it also gives a bonus to charisma, which is needed on this build. This build's hurting for charisma. So this is all good. But the other great thing about this is that this can be armored with the ballistic weave. I don't have that on here on this playthrough. I didn't really... You're going to see later on that it's not super necessary. And in fact, you may want to consider either not having it or having it at lower than max, because you do actually kind of want to take some damage on this build. And on top of that, I mean, just look at it. It's all torn up and shabby. This looks like something the Hulk would wear. It looks like, you know, like I could see Lou Ferrigno wearing this in an old episode of the Hulk. So it's just it, and it's, you know, it's called a green shirt. I know it's hard to tell in this light, but the shirt is got kind of a greenish color to it. So it's just perfect. This whole outfit, everything about it is just chef's kiss for this build, right? But that's the base. That's where we start, right? We can put armor over top of this build. And I have selected some pieces of armor that really elevate the build and take it to the next level. So let's take a look at this, right? So for starters, I got acrobat leggings, right? That's why I have mismatched leggings like this, right? Because I wanted to get, now you can, if you want, wait till the end of the game and go all the way up to the top of Mass Fusion to that hidden busted office room and get the free fall leggings if you want to try and roll a matching pair. But you don't have to wait. You can go and farm yourself up some acrobats leggings, and they get the job done just fine, right? And then I got an Auto-Stim. It doesn't matter what, I put it on the left arm, and I felt like I won the lottery when I got it on a synth left arm, because that means that it's fully covered by the Pip-Boy, which means it looks like you don't have any armor on your left arm, which I like because it kind of gives it that, Planet Hulk armor vibe to it, because he's got armor on his right, but not on his left. And then I got fortifying on the right arm just because at that point, like these three are the important ones. This one in particular, and I am going to come back to this one and talk about it more. So for the right arm, when I found a fortifying leather right arm, I was like, all right, you know what? Winner, chicken dinner. Let's go with that. And then, of course, the Wastelander's chest piece, because it has the BioComm Mesh by default. When you go to Myrna and you buy it from her, she's the general vendor in Diamond City. She sells this item, and it has the BioComm Mesh by default, in addition to a little bump of agility and perception and pretty decent stats. So all around, this is a good piece of equipment, but the BioComm Mesh is the real reason that I went and picked this up, because it gives you like an extra 50% duration on chems. And since we already have chemist plus this, you're talking about some of your chems lasting 20, 25, 30 minutes. That's awesome. That's what we want. So I'm going to go ahead and equip all this stuff, and then we're going to talk about why the Auto-Stim is so important. So the Auto-Stim is directly related to the mod that I have used in this game. I have two mods, actually. One, obviously, it just increases the choices for skin tone so that I could make the character skin green, so I could look like the Hulk. You actually can already turn your hair green in vanilla. You just have to do it after you get out of the vault. Set up a barber's chair and just have a settler go over and change your hair color for you. But you can't do that with the skin color, so I got a mod that let me turn my skin green. The second mod that I'm using, you know what? Let's take a look at the mods. So the two mods that I have active right now, first is Rainbow Skin, that it does exactly what it sounds like. It allows you to change your skin color to a whole plethora of different colors. Obviously, I wanted it so I could turn my skin green for the Hulk build. And then Nerd Rage Improvement 30. Now, the Nerd Rage Improved has a number of different variants. I just wanted to tweak Nerd Rage the very bare minimum amount. I wanted to increase it by 10%. And that is because when we look at the Auto-Stim, right? What does it say? 25% or less, right? So let's say you're in a fight and you're getting throttled. What's going to happen? First, your Nerd Rage is going to activate. And then you take another hit and you get hit with the Stim Pack. And you start recovering health without stopping to waste time during that short slow-mo period of Nerd Rage. Because Nerd Rage does not last very long. It's 10 or 15 seconds. It's not long. So I didn't want to waste any of that slow-mo time blowing a Stim Pack. I wanted every second of that time to be dedicated to smashing face. So that's why I got this. And the reason why I wanted to make that change is because if I didn't have this mod, instead of activating at 30%, Nerd Rage would act at 20%. But if the Auto-Stim goes off at 25%, we will never make it to 20% to activate the Nerd Rage unless we take a really massive hit. That's not good. With this, that problem is solved. You can wail on the Deathclaw and wail on the Deathclaw, and when you get really low and the Deathclaw's wailing on you, your Nerd Rage activates, you get increased defense, increased damage, and then the Auto-Stim goes off, healing you back to full health, and basically you Hulk out. And one other thing that I like to do with that combo is that's when I throw Psycho Buff. Because then that's another 25% damage, another 3 strength, another 3 endurance, and it's thematic because then you goes while you're in the nerd rage real slow and it's really deep and bassy, and it sounds like the Hulk just roaring with rage. It like all of this put together, it feels like the Hulk raging out and just beating the tar out of whatever is in front of him. Because it gives you between the 40% of the nerd rage and 25% here, that's 65%, but then you're also getting a +3 strength here, which is another, I want to say 15%. I think it's 5% per rank of strength. So that's all total. That's an extra 80% of damage. And you're getting an increased endurance, more hit points, and you're also getting, on top of all of that, increased defense from the nerd rage. So it all comes together to just make for just one moment of explosive power and destruction and health regain and defense boost. And you feel like a Hulk. You feel like you're just Bruce Banner fighting his way, and then he gets too angry, and you see the nerd rage go off, and you see the stim pack go off, and you hit your hotkey to activate the Psycho Buff and go. It's just a really fun experience, and it goes off often. If you know this game well, you know they're obvious, right? First off is the Grognak magazines. I got all of them, right? So that's, if you crit, that's an extra, if you've got all of them, 45% damage on a crit. But on top of that, if you guessed the perennial Scav issue number 5, you were right. This is a perfect item for this build. It is a +3 strength and a +3 endurance, no drawbacks. There's no, it's free. It's just a free bonus to your attributes. Yeah, you have to keep your inventory, your caps at 0, but that is, in this game, super easy to do, especially when you're playing an unarmed build. You don't need money because you don't need ammo. Any money or any valuables you do get or collect along the way, you just sell them for stim packs. Because that's the only ammo that you need. Your ammo is stim packs. So you just sell everything for stim packs. And that's also, let's talk about perks. So when it comes to perks, I picked a few non-traditional options that some people might say, well, that's kind of a bad perk or a lame perk. But I found a way to use some of these perks that people normally pass over really effectively. Let's take a look. All right, so first, under strength, we have Iron Fist 5. Logically, this is an unarmed build. And we're going to go up to Armor 4. This is so we can get some of those high-end modifications on our equipment. And also, if you wanted to get the ballistic fiber weave from the railroad. Under perception, the only thing we're picking up is locksmithing. If you don't care about locksmithing, you can skip it, put these points somewhere else. Under endurance, this is probably the attribute we spend the most points in. We're going to be getting 5 ranks of toughness, 2 of chem resistance, so that we're immune to addiction, adamantium skeleton 3, and solar powered 3. Solar power, the only rank that is really important is the first one. The other 2 are optional. I recommend them. It helps a lot, but you don't have to take them. So you can free up those points and put them elsewhere if you want. If you want, you can put these 2 points and these 3 points into strength. You're going to see that I actually start with a strength of 1. So if you wanted to free up some points to bump up your strength to increase your damage output, you could easily get that from these 2 points and these 3 points here. But I like to have a more well-rounded character. I like to have locksmithing. And I do think that the regeneration of the solar power is worth it. Especially because it also removes radiation. It removes rats, so it's valuable. Caps Collector, for obvious reasons. Lone Wanderer for the defensive bonuses that it gives. And for the extra 25% damage output. Medic. This was the perk that I was talking about earlier. At the 4th level, you completely heal yourself to full health with 1 stim pack. And the healing process from the stim pack is much faster. It's like 1 second versus 5. It's way faster. And that makes the difference in a fight, because that means you could be fully, if you're in a slow-mo either from Nerd Rage or from Jet, and that death claws is his claws coming down to swing at you, it could mean the difference between you being at full health before this death claw hits you or after. And if you get up to that full health after the death claw hits you, well, guess what? You're not getting there because you're dead. So it makes a huge difference. I definitely felt the difference in this playthrough. Hacker is another one that I took it just because, I like being able to access stuff. If you don't care about Hacker, same as Locksmith, you can remove these three and put them somewhere else. Chemist, you want to have that because it makes your chems last longer. And this build makes heavy use of Psycho Buff, and later on, it also makes use of Jet. And then, of course, Nerd Rage 3, because that's like the whole build is built around Nerd Rage. And then Bloody Mess for the extra damage from luck. All right, so this is the most perfectly symmetrical attribute layout that I've ever done. So we're going to have 2 in Strength, 1 in Perception, 10 in Endurance, 2 in Charisma, 10 in Intelligence, 1 in Agility, and 2 in Luck. The one thing that you could change if you wanted to is to take the 1 point off of Strength and put it in Charisma, because I have over here adding one with either a bobblehead or the Your Special, and this playthrough, I did it with the Your Special book, because I don't want to go get that Charisma bobblehead. You could take the 1 point off of Strength and put it over here, and you'd have the same effect. You'd still need to then use the Your Special book on Strength and go get the bobblehead from Mass Fusion, because we do need a Strength of 3 in order to get that Armorer perk. In Perception, I did put 2 ranks, and I went and got the bobblehead from the Museum of Freedom, where you meet Preston Garvey in the Quincy 5. But that was just for lockpicking. If you're not getting lockpicking, you don't need to do this, and it frees up another 2 points here. So if you just want to give up lockpicking, there's a lot of extra perk points there to free up elsewhere. Endurance, we started at 10, and Intelligence, we started at 10. Those are key stats for this build. And I know a lot of people think that a Hulk build is a strength build. In my opinion, a Hulk build is an endurance build. And there's so many good endurance perks that you need. And really all you need for strength is the unarmed perk. 5 ranks of the Iron Fist perk is worth 10 ranks of strength. Like literally, that's how the math works out. So having 2 ranks of strength and endurance and the unarmed strike perk or the Iron Fist perk is the same as if you had no ranks of Iron Fist and a 12 strength. Agility's a throwaway. We don't have any perks there. We don't need it. It's a melee build. So like we literally don't need agility for anything at all. Luck, we only need to put 1 point in it so that we can go and get the bobblehead from Spectacle Island to get up to 3 to unlock Bloody Mess. But all in all, so this will be where you end up, right? You put 2 ranks of perk points in here and nothing else changes. You put 2 ranks from perk points and then you get the 1 from the bobblehead. So I kind of doing this differently because I used to be like, well, you got to put the bobblehead here and you got to put the Your Special here. It's however you want to do it. I did it this way, but if you want to kind of rearrange it a little bit, maybe you go and get the Charisma bobblehead because you want to put the Your Special into Intelligence or into Endurance to give yourself more health. You could, in theory, because I did go get the bobblehead for Endurance. You don't need it for this build, but it's nice to have. And if you wanted to also put the bobblehead in there, it gives you even more leeway to get up to that magic number of 21 endurance so that you can just run forever. That's the main reason why I even bother going to get that scav number 5, the no cap life, because of, it's not for the strength bonus. I mean, the strength bonus is nice, but I do it for the endurance because I want to get that 21. So here's how this works out, right? So you have 10 plus 1 from the bobblehead is 11. 3 from Scav Magazine number 5 puts it up to 14. 2 more puts it up to 16 from Solar Powered. And then 1 from your clothes, because I have the green shirt and combat boots, that gives you a +1, so that puts us up to a 17. And then I had the Fortified Arm, which puts it up to an 18. And then Psycho Buff puts it up to a 21. Boom, done. And the Psycho Buff lasts like half an hour. You can literally run in my playthrough on the endurance build that I did this past weekend. I did that. I used Psycho Buff and clothing to get my endurance up to 21. And I ran clear across half the map on one Psycho Buff. So on a Psycho Buff that's extended, triple duration with Chemist, and you have the Wastelander's Friend chess piece, you can run from corner of the map to the other corner of the map without ever stopping. There is literally nowhere in the game you can't run. And if you decided you wanted to swap out the acrobat legs for the destroyer legs, which each give you a plus 10% to movement speed, you could do it so quickly that even if you aggro things, even if a scorpion or a deathclaw or a bunch of mole rats spot you, you can just keep running and outrun them and eventually lose them. Nothing can catch you. All right, so let's talk about, last but not least, weapons. Now, there's not a huge amount of unarmed weapons, but the few options you have, they're all really good. First off, the bladed knuckles. Now, the knuckles are easy to get, and they can carry you through most of the game. I was surprised at how good these did. Now, obviously, you're not going to be using these against, like, super mutant behemoths or Mirelurk queens or anything like that. And even against robots, they struggle. They struggle to get through armor. So if something's got a lot of armor, they don't do very well. But they're an excellent, and the bleed effect that you get from the blades is really nice. So this is what I used for most of my playthrough until I got the Furious Power Fist. Now, the Furious Power Fist is something you get from Swan. And again, on my playthrough from Endurance of this past Sunday, I beat Swan with, I think I was using a large Deathclaw gauntlet, which I acquired. See, there's a place you can get a Deathclaw gauntlet that you don't actually need to fight anything for it, and it's not a random drop. It's a guaranteed generate. If you go, here, let me show you. Let me look on the map here real quick. So what you're going to do is you're going to go right over here. Where is it? There it is. So the Museum of Witchcraft. Now, if you go in here and you just blitz through, you run through all the way to the end, you grab the egg, and you get out of there. You don't actually, there's a Deathclaw in here, you don't need to fight it. You just go all the way to the end, find the dead gunners, get the egg off of their corpse or out of the pile that's next to them. You're looking for a pristine egg. And then you come over here to Linwood. And back over here behind Linwood, you will find your quest objective. There's a Deathclaw nest. And all you got to do is put the egg back in the nest, and the Deathclaw will give you the Deathclaw gauntlet. And you can do the whole quest, and you never need to fight anything. All you need to do is get over here. That's it. And if you run along the top of the map up here, up to the Nakano residence, and then run along the front beach here and just follow this road, it's really easy. There's almost nothing over here. There's a couple of ghouls. You might want to stay away from the beach because I think there's a couple mud crabs over there. I keep calling them mud crabs. Mirelurks. But once you get down to the Museum of Witchcraft and you get that, then you get that Deathclaw gauntlet, you can then follow your own path back up here, come back over here, and go to Linwood, and you'll find this. It's because it's behind, so you don't actually need to go into Linwood because that's full of raiders. It's back here in this, there's a very hilly region over here, and you can just drop it off and get the Deathclaw gauntlet and then fast travel out of there. And once you have that gauntlet, you're pretty much unstoppable. But once you have that gauntlet, you can then go and beat Swan and get this beautiful thing right here. This thing, for me, it's a debate which one of these is better. Because the Deathclaw gauntlet, the other thing I should mention about the Deathclaw gauntlet, getting the third claw, you don't need any crafting skill. You don't need weaponsmithing or armor or anything like that. You can add that claw completely untrained. So if you want to skip any kind of, because I don't actually have the smithing perk. And the same thing with the Furious Fist, it comes with the piercing modification on it already. So you don't need to modify this either. These two items right here, you don't have to have, that's why I don't have a strength of 4 in this build. I only have it at 3 for the armor. You don't need the weaponsmithing. You don't need the blacksmith perk. because both of these items, and this, you do have to modify it, but let me take a look here. Let's see what it requires. I think the bladed knuckles require blacksmith 1. But you can find bladed knuckles. And you can get up to spiked. Look at this. There's no requirement. So you can get up to spiked without the blacksmith perk. And you can find puncturing and bladed, just looting knuckles off of raiders as you go. And if you want to use the slip trick that I do, I mean, you can get it right away. You can just do it yourself. So you have a lot of options. And they're all really good. I did ultimately land on the Deathclaw Gauntlet. It doesn't have the Furious, although, I mean, if you can, man, it would be so cool to find a Deathclaw Gauntlet with Furious. Oh, that would be sick. And having the Furious Power Fist on a Hulk build makes sense because the Hulk is Furious. But yeah, those are your weapon options. All right, so last thing I want to touch on is settlement object bonuses. I got the charisma from the barber over here when I need to go sell stuff, but then I usually stuck with the weight bench to give myself a little extra bonus of strength. So all told, when all of this is said and done, let's take a look at what my actual final attributes are. Endgame, and this is, here, look. I have a strength of 3. So right now I'm getting a bonus of 7. I'm getting 2 from solar powered, 3 from No Caps Life, 1 from the weightlifting bench, and 1 from my right arm armor from the legendary effect. Perception, I'm getting, but perception doesn't really matter. I get a +1 from my chest piece. Same thing with the agility. I'm getting a +1 from that too. But honestly, that's not why I got that. I got it for the BioComm Mesh. So if you can find, and that's, you know what? That's something else I should cover. Let's take a look at this real quick. Okay. So I got the, where is it? Wastelander's chest piece. Let's talk about this, right? So this modification right here, it can come off. So you can remove that from this. And if you find like a fortified leather chest piece, you can put it on there. Because this is the piece. This is not a legendary effect. This is just a mod. But it's easy. And that way you don't need to have, I mean, you have the modification, but you don't need to put 2 ranks into science. Because you see how it requires 2 ranks of science? You have the armor. But this saves you 2 points for just 1 modification. So that just leaves us with one thing. Time to put the build to the test. All right. Let's wake the old lady up. All right, test number 2. Super Mutant Behemoth. And that's how we do it, people. All right, so I am here at Hester's Consumer Robotics. I have never tried this test on a build before, because this is actually a pretty tough fight. There are at least 5 robots in there that I know of, and one is an Assaultron, and one is a Sentry bot. So it's gonna be a bullet hell in there. But let's give it a shot, see what happens.
Surprise contact. Engaging.
Okay, that was way easier than I thought it was going to be. I thought for sure these guys were going to throttle me. There's no more robots? I guess there was only 4. But this Sentry bot going down in one hit, I did not expect that. I guess because it was inactive, I hit it with a surprise crit, and that doubled the damage and one-shotted it. But, yeah, that's, I would say that's a pretty effective demonstration of the build. All right, so that is the build. As you guys can see, I was doing a lot of cool, interesting, different... I'm experimenting a little bit. I'm trying to polish my style a little bit here. I know I'm still a little rough around the edges, but I'm trying to get better, you know, because I'm getting more subscribers, and I feel like I owe it to you guys to kind of step up my game a little bit and get some polish on it. And like that reel, the sizzle reel that I did at the beginning, where I showcased my character running around my build at Linwood, fighting the Raiders and then the Death Claws. I let that run on a little bit longer than I needed to, but the footage was so good, and it matched up so perfectly to the music. And that ending was so savage that I couldn't, like, I trimmed it down as much as it was like 20 minutes of footage, and I trimmed it down to like 2.5. But it was so good. But, and I know that, you know, if you're an experienced player, you're looking at this build and you're like, well, it's not optimized. You can get quite a bit more damage out of this. Like I said, you could drop lockpicking and hacking and drop those 2 points out of perception and take all those points you just freed up and max out strength. You could then take rooted. There's a lot of, there's other chems you could take. I didn't even try to take dirty. I made some dirty wastelanders. I didn't even take them. You could also throw Jet on this character. This character with Jet is terrifying. I tried Jet a couple times with this, and it was just like the game was too easy. Nothing could stop me. So, there's a lot more power to be extracted from this build if you optimize it. But I've never been about optimizing. I'm more about the experience. And I'm okay with that. I'm happy with this build. I had fun with it. And I probably wouldn't change part of it. This is probably going to be my last build for a little while. I have one special build in mind that I'm saving for a special occasion. So I've got 2 more weekends, or 2 more Fridays of my Special One Challenge series that I'm doing on Friday nights. And then I'm going to be switching over to Everwind after that. But that's enough off-topic stuff. Let me know what you guys thought about this build. Let me know if I missed anything, if there's some way you thought, oh, wait, well, you could add this and it would make it better. If you have any questions, comments, thoughts, even if it's not about Fallout, or you want to ask me questions about Fallout, you want to ask me questions about Everwind, whatever you want, let me know in the comments down below. And as always, thank you for checking out my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.